Well, welcome to the Books That Save Lives Heart Wisdom panel. It's so good to see you all here today. I'm looking at some familiar faces and a couple new faces too. Welcome, welcome. I'm Sherry Reichert Ballou, and I'm author of Say It Now and also The Love List of a Lifetime. And I'm super excited today. We're going to be talking about what matters. And to assist us in that, we have our two wonderful authors, Robin Reynolds and Nita Sweeney. Hello, hello, you guys. Glad you're here. We also have some of the Books That Save Lives team. I see some other authors from our publishing house. So great to have all of you here. Yay! Saw that, Kim. Good to see you. Um, Right before we have our wonderful, oh, hi, Ralph, another author. This is great. I love it. And Eric. Who else do we have? Um, I wanted to share before we officially begin one of the quotes that really jumped out at me from Robin's book, which is, "What is your clutter costing you?" And Robin says, clutter isn't just stuff, it's space, time, energy, and emotional weight. When we uncover what it's costing us, we open space for peace, clarity, and what matters most. And I really love that. I love Robin. It's one of the things about your book that I hope people, if they haven't yet read it, they will read it and see. You know, you've got a very different take on it than I think a lot of other clutter books. You add a lot more, I think, a lot more sort of different angles that we can look at, which I really
Yes.
appreciated. So thank you for that. And in just a moment, I'm going to have Robin and Nita introduce themselves. But before we do that, Nita, how long have you been meditating, Nita? Many years.
1991,
Yeah, a
whatever
lot.
that, I'm not mathing well today, so whatever that math is,
That's
1991.
all right. A lot of, we're going to say a lot of years.
Yeah, a while.
Um, Nita has generously offered to start us off with just a short meditation so that we can all kind of get grounded and come home to ourselves before we begin.
Great. Yeah, let's just take a moment. Yeah, 35 years. Is that you or is that me? She mathed. Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Um, so let's just take a moment. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, that's fantastic. If not, just maybe drop them down a little bit so that you're not caught in the gaze of our vision, which is our most powerful sense and very distracting. And then once you've done that, find the place in your body where you most easily notice your breath. For some people, it's the throat, the face. Some people, it's the chest, could be the belly. Wherever that is for you, just feel that. And there's no need to change it or control it. Just experience yourself being breathed. Sometimes it feels as if we have to be in charge of everything. But if we can just take a moment during the day to notice that the breath happens without anything on our part, we can relax into that with some comfort and ease. And if you can notice the exhale and maybe just let the exhale extend a tiny bit longer. Don't have to force it, just kind of see if it'll extend a little bit. That can add to that sense of ease. And if you start thinking about your grocery list or the if the dog needs a walk or what you're going to talk when it's your turn to talk on this panel. Just let that float away with your breath. And then just gently bring yourself back here with us and know that anytime, anywhere, your breath is right there and it's always available for you to use. Thank you.
Oh, Nita, thank you so much.
My
I
pleasure.
love
Thank you.
I love that line. I think, tell me if I got this right. Like, let yourself be breathed. Was that right?
Yeah, notice yourself being breathed.
Yes.
So you're
Ah,
not even letting it just because there's nothing to let. It's just
yes.
happening. So yeah,
Notice yourself. That was so beautiful. I just felt
I'm
my
not
whole
a,
body relax.
thanks. I'm not sure. I heard it probably from Eric years ago. I don't know.
From
I
our
heard it
Eric.
someplace. Maybe, I don't know. Somebody has said it before, but that's one of my go-tos. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. So, Nita has been a guest here before. This is Robin's first time on the Heart Wisdom panel. So, Robin, let's start with you. And I'll have you introduce yourself. You could talk about, if you want to, you could talk about what inspired this current book, or maybe what's top of your mind, juicy around the topic right now. Whatever feels like you want us to know about you in this moment.
Okay. So I'm Robin Reynolds, and I am a certified professional organizer. For 17 years, I've had my company. And the book was founded out of something that I say to my clients all the time. And that thing is everything has a price: time, space, money, or energy. And honestly, I don't know if a client said you should make that a book or if I just decided I should write a book. But I was like, you know what? I have something to say, so I'm going to put it in a book. And here we are with this book now.
Wait, I forgot to say the name. What is your clutter costing you?
Yes.
I love the title. I love the title.
Thank you. I do too. And I'm so glad it never changed from when I first presented it.
Yeah. And is there anything top of mind that you've really been finding the most juicy to talk about around? Because I know your topic, it covers a lot.
Yes. I don't know if it's so much juicy or anything, but when you mentioned before that it was a different kind of book,
Yeah.
there are a million how-to books. I didn't want it to be about how to organize. It's truly based on my philosophy. I can be very woo-woo, which is, some people gravitate to and some people don't, but it is what it is. And it just is something that I feel very firmly about, or very strongly about, I should say. And, even for myself, there are times that I'm really busy. My desk is a mess, and I have to clear it up, and start do my filing and this, that, and the other thing. And I find when I do that the phone starts ringing or things start happening. So it's just the energy around the clutter that changes your everything in a way.
I love that. Tell me if I don't have this correct, but I'm pretty sure there was like a part in the book where you talk about that, like the clutter is a negative energy. And
Yes.
yes, and when we clear it out, it lets room for positive. I loved
Yes.
that. I loved
It's
that so
acting as
much.
a block for all the positive to come to you.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So people can see already, probably just from hearing a little bit from Robin and about her book, that it does have some very different, very unique aspects to it. I know I've read a lot of clutter books, but I found this one to be really unique, and so I'm encouraging everyone to get a copy. So thanks,
Thank
Robin.
you.
And we'll get
Of
to hear
course.
Robin's going to read to us a little bit, but first let's have Nita, and welcome back. I know you've been with us from the beginning of the Heart Wisdom panels back in 2020, right?
I think I was like the second or on the second or third panel. I wasn't the first, but that it was amazing. Yeah. So
I
go. Yeah.
know. We're
Yeah.
so glad. And so Nita's got a number of books, Make Every Move a Meditation, Depression Hates a Moving Target, which is one of my all-time favorite book titles
Mm.
as
Mhm.
well. Yeah, are there others that I'm not mentioning that you want to?
Well, the other books that save lives is a writing journal called
Yes.
You Should Be Writing or You Can Be Writing. We're kind of working on a reframe of that. So it'll be kind of fun. I'm not sure how much of that I'm supposed to tell, but yeah, we're kind of giving it a little perk up because it needed it. But yeah, yeah. I to just talk a little bit about myself. I'm a certified meditation teacher, a long distance runner, um, technically a running coach, even though I don't do a lot of that. And I write books. And I wrote the first book that got published after I'd had a pretty severe mental health crisis and found running to be very, very helpful. It was the movement was like the only tool that I didn't really have in my little kit of, therapy and meds and meditation and recovery, and I had all these things, but I didn't have movement. And that was for me, that was the missing piece. And then that book did really well. So I wanted to do something meditation related. And I had very quickly figured out when I started running that I could meditate while I was running.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't even figure it out. I'd realized that I was. And so that's where Make Every Move meditation came from, was the sort of this concept that everybody thinks of meditation as sitting still. And I led you in a sitting meditation, which is very powerful, very foundational. But it's only the beginning. And so the book, Make Every Move meditation, is about taking that same skill set, that same practice, and putting it in motion.
Ah, well, that's a good line. I like that.
I'll try to
Yeah, and
remember
I
it.
I too I've been doing a sitting meditation since the early 90s. And
Mhm.
I love, like, when I first read Depression Hates a Moving Target, and then of course this latest book, I know a lot of people who are just like, oh, I can't sit and meditate. And I love that you're offering these different alternatives. And it's a really big gift to the world. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky enough to have our co-founder of Books That Save Lives. We have Brenda, and we also have Duncan here. And Brenda, I usually love to put her on the spot and tell us, like, the behind the scenes on your authors. What kind of skills
Yes,
do
the
you have?
behind the scenes with Robin and what is your clutter costing you is different from, I'd say, almost all of my acquisitions, because when I acquire books, I think of our readers, what people are needing. I don't think of myself first, but when I met Robin she was in Los Angeles at like sort of a little pitch fest, and I was in the process of packing to move from a place I'd lived 17 years in, and I was dealing with all kinds of like shame of like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was a hoarder. What am I going to do with all these books? I have thousands of books. I have less thousands now, but I had thousands. And so when she was pitching me, what is your clutter costing you? I was like, I need that book because I was shocked at how much I had acquired. And it also made me think, like, her book helped me figure out, that like buying little bitty things like had become like a little bad habit. I know that like one of my best friends, like Nancy Fish, and I used to like every weekend get together and we would do something we called eye raking, where we would just go into stores that we loved and like ooh and ah over things, and usually come out with one or two or more things, and then they would have get placed in the house, and so all of a sudden I was confronted with my own you know, foolishness, honestly. I just thought, my goodness, like how could I be such an unconscious consumer like of stuff? Like, but I had become so. So I knew that I really needed Robin's book, and it has helped me um, and so I love that she had this unique perspective that is super practical, very, very practical. And like it helped me also let go of my shame spiral of being a secret hoarder. Although I think hoarding books is still kind of okay, but tchotchkes and in West Virginia, like my mom like calls people's like little decorative items gym cracks. Like the over acquisition of gym cracks, like that needs to stop. Do you really need it? Probably not. But people need Robin's books, and of course they need Nita Sweeney's books.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's not a thing about hoarding books. Books are fine. Books are fine to collect. And what about Nita? How did you two connect?
Well, she came into my inbox and with a very different title. Obviously, she came up with a genius title that like continues to sell, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Nita's writing just sang off the page, and this was when I was at working for Brand X as the chief acquisition editor and publisher. And it just so happened that my boss like said, we will not publish any memoirs. And I was like, oh my goodness, the writing is so good. I have to like figure out a way to like get this through editorial board. And so Nita and I, talked, often and well. Help that she came up with like the title, like Depression Hates the Moving Target. I mean, wow, like unbelievably good. But like we sort of came up with the concept of like memoir plus, that it was like a memoir and a self-help book, a memoir and a mental wellness book, a memoir and a writing book. And actually it is all of those. And I did want to have like a braggart moment and say that Nita's book is backlisting so well. It's continuing to sell so well and internationally too. I don't even think I've gotten a chance to tell her that like we got orders for like several hundred in like the UK and EU and Australia. So it's and like, that's what we hope for every single one of our books. It's not an overnight sensation, and it takes time. But what I love is that I think Nita's writing sang off the page for a few other people, like many thousands of people. And so that nothing makes me happier than a really good book and a really great author to just keep soaring, keep selling, keep helping people, keep saving lives like over the years. I mean, Duncan and I are just as proud as like anything about that.
Oh, yay. Oh, that was so fun to hear. Congratulations, Nita.
Well,
Yeah. And
thank you, Brenda. That was lovely. Thanks.
Duncan, did you want to say hello? No pressure, but you can if you want.
Yeah, sure. And I know one of the things about Nita's book that touched me is that it kind of validated something that I do that's um there's many different styles of meditation, but mine is about noticing. So I notice when I've been thinking, and there's no punishment for it. There's no, I can't meditate, because you can. All you do is notice that you're thinking and then try to return to center. Try being the operative word. And lately, I've had this new kind of meditation where I reward myself for noticing by taking a sip of tea. So
Oh.
just like walking or running and meditating, you can also have your morning tea and meditate. So I just wanted to share that with you, Nita.
That's lovely. Yeah. Now, do you fully experience the tea when you drink it?
Of course, yeah,
That's
because
your next step.
you're
Yeah.
in that,
Yeah.
new mind
Perfect.
frame.
I
Thank you.
love
That's great.
that. Thanks, Duncan. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And thank you, Duncan and Brenda, for everything that you've done to create this company. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Um, yeah, so let's go back to you, Robin. And I know you've brought a little something to share with us so we get a sense of your voice in your book.
Yes. So I'm just going to read the forward, which I'm going to try and skip some parts too, because I don't want it to be too long, but it'll kind of give you a little bit of a sense of the book and what it is. So, for well over a decade, I've worked in my own business as a professional organizer. When people hear the term professional organizer, they often have varied ideas of what it means. I get everything from a political organizer to an event organizer to someone who simply arranges items neatly or tidies up rooms. The reality is, the role of a professional organizer is much more complex. I am, in essence, a problem solver. I like to say that I find space where there seemingly is none while implementing systems that bring order and efficiency to chaotic environments. Not to mention, there is a huge psychological component to the work because people have emotional attachments to their belongings. The work of a professional organizer goes far beyond mere tidying. It involves understanding the unique challenges and needs of each client and creating tailored solutions that address their specific issues. This requires a keen eye for detail, creative mind to envision potential uses of space, and a strategic approach to ensure that the solutions are sustainable in the long term. I know firsthand how many people struggle with clutter in their homes. The accumulation of items can happen so subtly that before you know it, your living space feels cramped and overwhelming. Clutter can affect all aspects of life, from physical comfort and safety to mental health and overall well being. This is where my expertise comes into play. I've dedicated my career to helping individuals and families reclaim their living spaces from the chaos of clutter while transforming their homes into organized, functional, and serene environments. Through my work, I have seen the profound impact that a well organized space can have on a person's life. I think that's a good place to end.
Oh, that told us a lot. I love that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And one thing I couldn't help thinking because of my end of life plan, I have a chapter on decluttering and not only how it impacts the person's life who is currently living with their belongings, but what happens to all those belongings after that person passes away. And so it's such a big gift. I can't help but say that out loud so that everyone knows that piece too. So thank you, Robin. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Nita, I think you also brought a little something for us to hear.
Yes, I did. Um, so I'm going to read from chapter 14. The title is Make It Yours. And if I think Sherry and I had a conversation once about like what was my motto or my, anthem or whatever. And it's one size does not fit all, which I actually think when I heard Robin talk, that when she talked about individual clients and seeing the person for their unique situation, that's kind of what I was trying to do with this book with meditation. So I'll just read a few paragraphs from the beginning of this. So
Oh, great.
make it yours. Loving it. When Dr. Dan Skinner, editor-in-chief of World Medical and Health Policy, interviewed me on his Prognosis Ohio podcast, he said he hated running. But I did not try. I said, okay, I'm sorry, just got scattered. Hang on, let me start. Okay, so when Dan Skinner interviewed me on his podcast, he said he hated running. He said it more than once. Maybe he wanted me to talk him into running, but I did not try. I said, Dan, you might not be a runner. Never force yourself to do a type of movement that doesn't interest or suit you. Choosing a practice is highly individual. If it helps you break a sweat, that's great, but it's more important to enjoy it. Explore different movement forms. If you bore easily, you probably won't stick with repetitive activity. Embrace what you know about yourself, whether you like to compete with yourself or others, need time alone, or instead crave community. Find it. If you love a mental challenge alongside the physical activity, you need a sport that requires strategy as well as physical activity. Love geometry? Golf might be your game. Time for trial and error. Get creative, find your way. I left some parts out there, but that's kind of the philosophy I've had with a lot of my books is, and actually coaching that I do, is trying to figure out what makes the person tick and how can we use that, the skills they already have, to help them move forward. And in this case, with this book, it's about meditation. That chapter is more about, a lot of people tell me, well, I don't have an exercise, so how can I move on exercising? Well, let's talk about that. And that's, part of this book is about not only how do you meditate, but you don't have to like exercise. We can find something that, you can love. And it's that individual thing that really, that's what makes me tick, is finding that little kind of different thing about a person. So.
I love that, Nita. And I love that you pointed this out, that it does seem as if you and Robin share that philosophy, right? Of not, it's not one size fits all, right? But really looking at who is this in front of me. And I love how that ties into our topic of, let's focus on what matters most. Because it's like, to Brenda's point about her books, right? One person may feel like, oh, I don't need to have all these books, but someone else that may be their greatest joy, for instance. And so I love that between the two of you. And I'm curious, I'm just going to start back there at what matters most, and we'll go back to you, Robin. But it's like, I know, of course, from reading your book, how much it contributes to helping people understand what matters in their life. But I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, how does your work help people do that?
Well, it simplifies things and it makes things less chaotic, especially these days. Everybody's life is so busy. Whether you have a family, don't have a family, people are working multiple jobs a lot of times. They're doing, a full-time job and then a side hustle. Life is just busy in every way, shape, and form. And a lot of times that life brings stuff into the house in order to, do the things that they're doing. So it needs to be organized in a way that still allows for your space to be calm and serene and everything. The old adage of your home is your castle and it should be a place of peace is, it's corny but true. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when you're outside and you come home, you want to relax. You don't want all this chaos and, focusing on it and just thinking, oh my God, I have to clean this up. I have to do this. I have to do that. So when you have systems in place, then it's easier to be able to maintain whatever clutter you have. Even if you're overwhelmed and with a lot of stuff, there's a way to still have systems. I mean, personally, I like, it to be manageable within your four walls because, it's not, there's no magic that's going to make those walls bigger. So it should be in a way, situated in such a way that you're not going to trip over it, that you can easily find things, that you're not buying the same things 10 times because you can't find the first nine. It just, and it happens over and over, and it's, the funny thing is when I work in homes, you can see what they're always losing because there'll be 10 pairs of readers. There'll be 10 scissors. There'll be this, there'll be that. And it's just, and then everybody collects something. Educators and people in this industry, it's all about books, but then people have their collection of roosters. They'll have their collection of ducks. I had somebody that had a collection of thimbles. It's just really interesting because you learn so much about a person just by going through their house. You don't even have to talk to them, but you learn so much about them.
Oh, Robin, I love that. I love that. Yeah, thank you. Nina, I'm going to ask you the same question. So how's your work, do you think, most fit into this topic of focusing on what matters?
Well, meditation is a skill set that will serve you in anything. And so for me, and again, I teach meditation. I'm a longtime meditator, so consider the source here. But I have found that if I take the time, even just 5 minutes, to notice my breath, notice where I am, notice my thoughts and body sensations, and then add that kind of component of you can call it relaxation, but it's actually more ease of like
Mhm.
opening up your hands instead of gripping things. That then when I go through the rest of my day, I may forget and find myself gripping, but I have that body memory of the letting go from the meditation practice. And so it's a transferable skill and it will serve me right now on this podcast. Some of you know that I had vertigo yesterday, and so I'm a little off, which I apologize. I think the reading was a little clunky. That's fine. Um, but as I was reading, I was like, okay, you're clenching, Notice that. And
Oh,
I think if I didn't have that skill, I wouldn't necessarily know that. And just as we go through the day, if I'm in relationship with somebody, am I really listening to them? Am I here or am I thinking about something else? If I'm working on a project, am I really focused on this? Sometimes is this what I mean to be doing? Or have I picked up my phone and am I, 10 screens into scrolling, doom scrolling, whatever? Is that where I really mean to be? And where
yeah.
meditation comes in is that ability to bring myself back very gently, without shame, without this business, bringing myself back to what I really want and need, and what the people around me want and need too. Because if I'm not available to myself, then I'm not available to others either. Or if I'm, too available to everybody else and not taking care of myself, then it's all out of whack. So for me, the meditation is it's not quite like breathing, but it's very much a
Huh.
um, foundational. I call it a skill. It's more than that, but but it's foundational for kind of how I move through the world. And like everything else, I have my days where I just am way out there and not able to focus or be present. But the odds are better that I'm going to be more effective if I have done my little bit of meditation, at least
Hmm.
on a regular basis. So yeah, that's the way it kind of fits, I think, in this topic for me.
Yeah. And I love while you each were talking, something dropped in my mind that I don't think I've thought of this in a long time, but there's some kind of old saying like the person with the most stuff wins, or the person with the most stuff at the
Mhm.
end wins. And I just totally dropped in out of nowhere. And I was like,
Not true.
ah, did you say not true? Right? I mean, but it
It's
makes
toys,
me.
I think. I think it's
Oh,
toys.
is it toys, Eric? The person with the
Yeah.
most toys.
Yep.
Is that true, Robin?
No.
Hmm.
Well, right. We live in a culture. I mean, I live in the United States. I'm not sure where everyone's from, but I feel like the culture I grew up in is just like more, 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 more. You need this, you need that. Get this, get that. So, yeah, I'm just gonna throw this out to you, Robin. Yeah, like how do people in the face of that? Like we're constantly getting these messages of, the more we have, the better we are, for instance.
Well, I think a lot of it comes from trying to keep up with the Joneses. I talk about it in the book. I believe a lot of it comes from the advent of credit cards and the popularity of them. Because back in the day, 100 years ago, if you didn't have cash money, guess what? You weren't buying jack. You
Yep.
were not getting it. Maybe they had a layaway plan, but it still was cash. So you still had to wait to get it. But these days, not only can you have one credit card, but you can have two and two, three and 10, one for every store. And there's a lot of impulse buying. So you don't have to think about it. It's almost like it's play money because you don't see it until those bills start coming in. And it's like, whoa, now I got to actually pay for this stuff. So it allows you to just get what you want when you want it and almost anything. About the only things you can put on a credit card are a house and a car. But everything else you can pretty much buy with a credit card.
Yeah.
So it just is so I always say we're an abundant society because of that, because it's like just get, and if this one has this, then I need that, and if that one has that, I need that. I live in LA and I find LA to be a really interesting place because someone will drive a luxury car, but then live in a shack or a house that needs, tens of thousands of dollars of work. But as long as they show to the world that they can drive this Tesla or Mercedes or whatever, that says something to them. So it's really interesting how we've become this society of just more and more and prestige, I guess. Brenda had her hand up, I think.
I did. While you were talking, like what came into my mind was the monks that were walking like a couple months ago, and how like they show that you don't need anything. You don't even need shoes.
Yeah,
Like, and because like that what you have means nothing. Like, it's like what really matters is like how much did you give to the world? Like how much love did
right.
you give to people? And so I like when you mention like the person, the people that might live in a shack, but they're driving like the most expensive car they can get their hands on, like my mind immediately flashed to those monks. And I feel like that they came along in a time when they were just so needed. They were just so
Yeah.
needed. So,
I
Yeah,
think we need a little
let
bit
us all
more of
be
that.
more like monks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because, the thing, people have such emotional attachment to things, no matter what it is, whether somebody gave it to them or it was expensive or, variety of reasons. And I literally will tell people, if your house burned down tomorrow or there was an earthquake and it got swallowed, it's all just stuff. Obviously pictures, there are a few things that, are hard to replace or irreplaceable. But for the most part, your clothing is replaceable. Your jewelry is replaceable. Your furniture is replaceable. It's still just stuff, and you have to remember that. And I tell them, if you had to leave your house in 5 minutes, are you taking that couch with you? Are you
Oh,
strapping it to your back and running out of the house? No. There
yeah.
was one last year during the fires. There was it was a mistake, but we got a county-wide evacuation notice. And I looked around and I was like, hmm. And I was like, I'm good.
Wow. Robin, I love
I
that.
didn't even think of clothes. Like there's one thing that I have, which is a grab and go box. That's a whole other conversation. And, that has all my important stuff in it. Outside of that, I was like, I'm good.
Wow.
Because I like my stuff, but in an emergency, is it really that important to take?
Yeah. Yeah. Nita, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Sounds pretty mindful to me.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that though, that I'll just tie it into meditation because the emotional attachment that Robin's talking about, those are unpleasant thoughts and body sensations.
Mm,
And so tiny, tiny doses of meditation when you're mildly uncomfortable, just like you're sitting, you've decided to sit for 5 minutes and your nose itches and you practice not scratching it. The urge to itch your nose and not, that's a mild discomfort, but it can translate into being able to let go of something, maybe not the family photos, but maybe the couch. I don't know what it might be. That um, those emotional attachments might prevent you from doing that because it's a discomfort. It's a form of discomfort in your body and also your mind. What will I be without this? And so that's just kind of, I think, how the meditation practice might fit into what Robin's talking about, because I love what she's saying. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
so
love that. I love that, Nita. It's making me think so not just this recent Mother's Day, but last Mother's Day. My son's gift to me was to sort through everything that I'd kept from his childhood, which was a lot because I am super sentimental. And so it was the best gift to actually do it with somebody because he helped me bring that mindfulness. Like he'd be like, "Why in the world did you keep this?" And he'd say, "This didn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean anything to me now. Why is this here?" And having to sort of like pause and I would breathe because I was like hyperventilating through most of it. But it was a really wonderful experiment in what really matters because we got rid of about 95% of it, and
wow.
what we kept, he put in a binder because he wanted something like I can grab this, wherever I go, but it's just a little three-ring binder with his favorite writings, his favorite art, a favorite like maybe ribbon from Kung Fu. But he was just like, I don't need all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a really great training ground for me to
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know what I do in situations like that? I will make, instead of putting it in a binder or something, I will have it scanned or take pictures of it and make digital books out of it because the book will last a lot longer than the binder.
Good. Yeah, that's a great tip. That
Yeah,
is a
because
great.
even scrapbooks, like I made a scrapbook for my mother years ago and she passed in 2000. And, I have it, but the glue is, ungluing. So now everything's falling apart. So now I have to digitize everything and recreate it so that I can make it an actual book so that my daughter will have it, moving forward.
Great tip. Hey, Eric, you want to jump in?
I did. I have two kinds of clutter on the mind that a little bit different from the clutter we've been talking about. One is some pals and I are building an organization, the International Association of Creative and Performing Artists. And the clutter there is how many AI agents we're creating to do work. So
Mm,
we have 10 AI agents, including an AI agent that creates AI agents. And if you don't, if this language is not familiar to you, this will sound like gobbledygook, but it's a new kind of clutter. We have so many agents are possible to do different kinds of work that you could populate a small town with agents. At any rate, that's what's going on in my life. That's one kind of clutter. But with my clients, creative performing artists, writers especially, there's a kind of clutter that can't be uncluttered, that has to just be lived with. And that's the clutter of the ideas that we generate over the decades, thoughts, fragments of ideas, little bits, a sentence we like. There's no place to put them. They can't be organized. You can't give each one its own folder. Then you have 5 trillion folders, and you can't artificially stick them together because then you've made some interesting collage. So it's interesting how my clients, particularly, have to live with a certain level of chaos or clutter or abundance or whatever to call it. They
yeah,
can't just smush it all together or get rid of it. Neither of those possibilities exist, so they have to
yeah.
find other ways of dealing with it.
Well, I've had clients that were writers, and I totally understand what you mean because it's like one little paper with an idea, or even artists that have one little drawing on it. So I always say try and keep it in one book then. Fill up that book so you're not keeping all these little papers or individual papers just sitting in a file because then at least it will be contained in one thing until that thing is filled and then, start another one because it really makes it, challenging to have all these little pieces or individual pieces around.
It does.
Nita, did you have something? I saw your hand.
Yeah, I was feeling jumping in. So I am a writer, as everybody knows. And I have a folder. Well, it's a document. It's not a folder, it's a document called Brilliant Ideas that I have been keeping. I don't even know how long I've been keeping it. It's probably over 400 pages, but it is because I had those little pieces of paper everywhere. And I
Yeah.
went, this is ridiculous. And so I digitized it. And every once in a while, I don't know that I'll ever go back to any of those things, but I have them. And
Yeah.
that's the thing with me. If I have
Hmm.
any kind of hoarding impulses, it's a thing about having the thing.
Yeah.
And so I
Hmm.
just tell myself, I have them. And every once in a while, I might go back and look through it. But Eric's exactly right that with creative, I don't know what you would do if you were a visual artist, um, but with the creativity, there is this fear of losing things that I've got this idea. This is the one, there's definitely that kind of anxiety around that. And so that's how I'm currently dealing with it. So if the document gets to be 1,000 pages, we might have to make, oh yeah, Brenda's is Virgo. Brenda and she's a Pisces. We're always like, yeah, Pisces, a fish swimming opposite directions. She's like,
Well, and Brenda, it made me think because after when my book was launching and I did that event at Book Passage, remember there was a whole gaggle of writers at a table, and we were talking about journals, and we
oh,
were talking about
Mm.
those of us who have boxes and boxes and boxes of writing journals, which is a whole, similar to what
It
we're
is.
talking about, right? This creative, inspiration, or I don't know, but
And
um,
I begged you to not get rid of yours. Like
she
I was
did.
like, please don't. Please don't.
Duncan, what do you want to say about it?
I just realized I was thinking about my house, and there's not a lot of physical clutter there because of my husband, who doesn't allow clutter basically, other than just some tchotchkes. So it's already kind of Robin would come in and be like, "Oh, there's nothing to do here." But I was looking at my desktop, and I got this like clutching feeling because I'm gonna just read off some folders that are on there: a million docs, a million PDFs, a million spreadsheets,
Oh,
client, dirty desk, strays, stuff.
Yeah.
So
Interesting titles.
personal, yeah, I mean, there's just all these
Duncan.
folders
You
that
need an
mean
AI agent to take care of that.
why I'm
That's a
therefore
whole
it's my
specialty,
hoarding
you
is
know,
all on my
digital
desktop.
organizing is a whole specialty in and
Oh
of
yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
Duncan,
share that.
Duncan, I love those. I just feel like that's a poem in itself, is just the names of your uh,
Oh yeah, the
folders.
do not use folder too. I don't know what that's doing.
Better not touch it.
Ah,
No.
Do not open folder.
Yeah, really.
let's open it up. Anybody else? I see there's a lot of beautiful faces here. Anybody else want to throw in a comment or a question? It's just fun to talk about.
Kim Colgrove, I'm sure you have something to add.
I just really don't want to out myself. I like listening.
Oh,
I'm writing a new book and I would never want anyone to see my process. Because I- it's it's beyond nuts. And I do that thing where I have scraps of paper. I jot one thing down in my phone notes. I jot one thing down on a post-it. I grab a piece of paper out of my printer. And so every once in a while, I have to force myself to just, and I'll gather up and it'll be like a stack, like a pile. And I force myself to go through it one by one and usually digitize. I usually like stick it in a folder on the computer. I'm learning a lot. I was really interested in today though, Robin, because I have a 35-year-old daughter with 3 kids and she's messy to say the least, and she always has been her whole life, and she struggles with it because she also has a lot of anxiety. And so it's like this cycle. So I'm going to get your book for her because it's not just a here's how to get your shit together and
Right, right.
organize. It's and I think that this would be important for her. But I watch her in this cycle, and I know you know this because this is what you do. But her anxiety prevents her from being able to think in an organized manner to get it picked up. And she's got 3 kids that are a baby and 3 and just turned 6, and she works. So
Right.
it's like, and when I was there last week, she said, "Mom, my house is a mess." I went to babysit. My house is a mess, and this is just the season I'm in. But she said, I got to tell you, it's getting me down because she said it's debilitating. It's a mess. I don't have time to clean it. And then it just keeps becoming a big, so anyway, not to go on and on, but
Yeah.
also to divert from my clutter to her clutter.
Because she's not
So,
here. But you
so
know,
what,
the thing is, especially with young kids, I'll tell you 2 things that I like for with kids. Number one is as a grandparent, do not buy them toys
oh, I usually
because
buy
people,
clothes. Oh, I ask her, what do they need? That's what I ask.
well, see, but usually they don't need anything because kids are so fickle. They will play with something for 2 weeks and then they don't care about it again.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
almost
and I
always get
always
them
say,
clothes. Clothes is what I get because they outgrow it and that. I'll say, what do
right.
they
And
need? And she'll
especially
say,
that young, they
nutrition.
outgrow it a lot faster than they do when they're older. But also, you know, I always say, do something with that child, like just each one individually, because I couldn't tell you anything that my grandmother ever bought me, but I could sit there and tell you the experiences that I had with her, taking her when I was a young teenager on the bus to the mall, you know, when she needed to go shopping because she never drove. So these were the things that I remember, you know, and then we'd go to our favorite pizza place and whatever. Those are the things that are important, and that's what they're going to remember of you. They're not going to remember, oh, when I was 3, I got that doll or that pocket Polly or whatever those things are. And
Yeah.
in addition, if the your daughter and her husband or whoever has started a 529, contribute to their 529, because let me tell you, college is expensive. When my daughter was born, she's in college now. Somebody told me it would be $250,000 for 4 years, and I looked at them like they had 12 heads. College is $250,000 plus.
Yeah, it's
NYU is the most expensive school in the country right now at $80,000 a year. Not that she goes there, but
Mhm.
her school is not much less. Now, granted, she has a huge scholarship, but that's beside the point because not every kid gets that opportunity.
Yeah.
So every little bit helps, and especially having three kids, if one kid doesn't use it, another kid will use it because
Yeah,
you
that's
can
a
use it
great point.
throughout the
Just
family.
just to piggyback, never introduce them to Legos.
Yeah,
Look, my adult friends got into that in the pandemic, and now their house is literally a Lego museum. Every
Rob,
single thing.
I have two quick questions. When does your book come? Is it out or when does it come out? I may have
It's
missed.
out.
It's out. Okay. And then
Yeah.
you said everything cost you something, and I missed it.
Everything has a price.
Time, space, something, and energy.
Money and energy.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And the other thing, just as a hint, the one thing that I didn't keep from my childhood that I wish I had, they have these things called school record keepers. You can get them on Amazon. And it has like these little pockets from preschool to 12th grade where it's just a fun little thing that you can put in like their first day of school picture. You can their
Oh,
little pockets, you can put in their report cards or any certain, awards they get each year. It's just a fun thing to have, and that's the one thing or one of the things that I wish I still had from my childhood just cuz it's fun. And
yeah.
your grandkids are the perfect age because they're just starting school and not even school age.
Thanks for the extra hot tips.
Yeah. Brenda, did you
Sure.
want to hop in?
Yes, I was going to say that we were talking about creative people and writers and artists and just thinkers, and walls are a good place to put those like little pieces of paper and sketches and ideas. And I wanted to share like an organizational tip that I learned from a another woman named Robin, that's Robin, that I worked with at HarperCollins. She was a vice president of marketing, and she didn't have anything on her desk. Like there was like her computer and like I think a to-do list and a couple of pens and then like maybe flowers and like nothing. And I like that was like that weirded me out. I didn't understand how she could be busy,
That's impressive.
successful, a leader in the company, and so actually like I even like gossiped about her and like with a good friend of mine, Maria Veray, and I said, I don't trust anybody that doesn't have a lot of stuff on their desk. Like how can she really be working? So one time I went into her and I said, I'm just amazed by the fact that like you have the most cleanest desk. Like how can you do it? And she said, come in. Come on in. And then she closed the door. On the back of the door, it was a riot of like
Oh,
notes and mess and stuff that had been like pinned and stuck there. And I thought, well, all of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness, like this is genius
That's
because like
funny.
the door is always open, and but on the back of it is all of her thoughts, ideas, her notes, her plans, her and I just thought that was the smartest thing. And I went from like not trusting her to thinking that like she was the like just a genius and a Capricorn. I will add that as well.
Brenda, I love that. What a great tip. What a great tip. I love that. Robin, oh, Nita, come on,
Yeah.
jump in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I didn't realize because I just put this on the back of my door, but I was having problems following a digital schedule. So I use Google Tasks, I had Asana, I had all this kind of different things. And I also don't like bullet journals for some reason. And so what I'm doing there is the first list is to do, it's the longest list. The second list is maybe, and then the third list is what I call will call. So it's I've made a call and I'm waiting for them to call me back. And so, and I use the stickies because then I can physically move around. So the first thing I do every morning is I go look at the back of my door, and it helps me figure out, all right, what do I need to do? How long has it been since I heard from this person? Should I be nudging them? And then
Huh.
I also, because I need the extra validation, you probably can't see it, but there's a bunch of them that are crossed off because I
Mm.
need to see that I've done something. And so that so
Mhm.
yeah, so that's my version of that. It just because I was trying, I have a project I'm working on right now that's going to land pretty soon, and I was just having trouble keeping all the moving parts, and the digital wasn't working for me. It wasn't, and so those will all go away when they're done. When the project's done, I can take them all off. But for that, I actually needed the physical thing, and I think that's the thing too with creative people is sometimes we have to find the thing that works for the creativity. And for some people, that would make them crazy. But for
Yeah.
me, it was just the perfect thing. And I
Yeah.
really, this is the first Zoom call I've had since I put this. It's like, okay, yeah, there's yellow things in behind me. And hey, they came up in conversation. So what the heck? They were supposed to be there, I guess.
There you
So.
I know.
go.
I love this. I'm going to just give everyone a moment. It just occurred to me there have been a lot of like, great tools that have been tossed around. I'm just going to give people a moment to just, if there's anything just to think about that you might want to remember, write it down if you do. And I know also Robin has brought us just a very short, nothing that tangible to take away, but a little mindset tool that we could take away. Robin, do you want to share with us what you brought?
Yeah, so I am very much believe in affirmations. And I think it's something that, you make it short and sweet, something that you can remember and even recite to yourself multiple times a day or whenever it comes across your mind. So whatever it is that you want to accomplish, it doesn't need to be about, clutter. It just can be about anything that you want to do. So these are a couple that I wrote in the book, but you could either use these, come up with your own, but it's just the point is that the affirmation is something that you should just continually say to yourself. It doesn't even need to be out loud as long as you're thinking it. So, what I wrote here, obviously these revolve around clutter, but the first one is I love this sense of peace and calm in my clutter-free home. It fills me with joy and freedom. Second one, letting go of clutter feels empowering and liberating. Clutter no longer controls me, I control it. And getting rid of clutter gives me more time, space, money, and energy to create the life I desire. And those are just a few, but it could be about anything, whether it's about money, about relationships, about anything. But I truly believe in affirmations because I do find that it is helpful and they do work.
Well, and I think they help like calm the mind down. At least
Yes.
I felt that like when you were reading those, there is a meditative sense to an affirmation that it's like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, so thank you for sharing that, Robin. I really
of
appreciate it.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. I think before Ralph had his hand up, I didn't want to.
Oh, Ralph, did I miss you? I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, I'm enjoying listening. I just and this conversation really resonates with me because I'm packing up to go. My wife and I are packing up to go to Panama and to move
Oh
there.
my God, you're the third person. Like
Oh
literally,
wow!
I have a client that's moving to Panama in July.
See, that's when I'm moving in July. And so the thing is that we got to pack up a 2 bedroom, 2 bath house. I mean apartment and books. All my books are going. All my DVDs are going. Everything. We're moving on 3 suitcases each, and that's
Wow.
furniture, everything gone. And it's a liberating experience.
Nothing like moving out of the country to really declutter.
It's true. It's so liberating, but it's emotional too. It's very emotional.
Yes, absolutely.
Ralph, I'm so glad you jumped in and it's good to see you again. And wow, I forgot you told us on the last when you were on the Heart Wisdom panel that you were doing. That's huge. Yeah.
Um,
Hope we get to hear after the move how it all goes. That's amazing. So, oh,
Thank
I
you.
just realized we are at the top of the hour. That was fun. I mean, whoever thought it could be so much fun to talk about clutter and meditation, for goodness sakes. But I really thank all of you for being here, for sharing. Special thanks to Robin and Nita. You guys brought so much. And
Thank you.
thank you, Sophia, for posting the book links in the chat. And yeah, thanks for all of you. I always say this, and it's true. It really matters. Your presence matters. We feel the energy, and it really adds, whether you shared out loud or not, your energy was here. And thank you so much for that. We'll be back in a couple of weeks on the 27th. We're going to be talking about spirited aging with a couple other authors that are with Books That Save Lives. So come on back. Hope to see you guys again. It's always fun. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.